There are stories so chilling that they stay with you long after you've heard them. Stories of unspeakable acts committed in the shadows of the world we know. Today, we're diving into one such tale, a tale of a man whose name alone struck terror into the hearts of many. Santiago Meza López, known by his bone-chilling nickname, El Pozolero, the stew maker, a man who, with his own hands, dissolved over 300 bodies in acid for one of the most feared drug cartels in Mexico. It was 2009 when the Mexican army, acting on a tip, raided a small, unassuming house in the border city of Tijuana. What they discovered inside would shock even the most hardened officers. Santiago Meza López, heavily intoxicated, was caught red-handed, surrounded by the tools of his gruesome trade. For years, he had been the man behind the disappearances of hundreds, disposing of bodies in large vats filled with sulfuric acid. His capture marked the beginning of the end for one of the most terrifying chapters in the cartel's history. The process was as simple as it was horrifying. Victims would be brought to Lopez, their lifeless bodies discarded into vats of acid, where they would dissolve into nothingness, leaving behind only a few bones and a sludge of human remains. It was a method that not only disposed of the evidence, but also erased the very existence of those who crossed the cartel. For the families of the missing, there would be no closure, no bodies to bury, just the haunting knowledge that their loved ones had been turned into nothing more than a memory. But who was Santiago Meza López? Born into poverty, he was a man with few options and even fewer morals. He began working for the drug cartels as a young man, quickly becoming known for his willingness to do whatever was asked of him, no matter how horrific. To the cartel, Lopez was invaluable, a man who could make bodies disappear without a trace, a man whose name alone sent chills through the spines of those who dared to defy the cartel's rule. But even in the dark world he inhabited, his methods stood out for their sheer brutality. For years, El Pozolero operated with impunity, his gruesome work fueling the cartel's reign of terror. Rivals, traitors, innocent civilians, no one was safe from his vats. The Sinaloan cartel, one of the most powerful and violent criminal organizations in the world, thrived on the fear that men like Lopez instilled. In this world, power was maintained through fear, and Lopez was one of the cartel's most effective weapons. The mere mention of his nickname was enough to silence witnesses, to keep enemies at bay. But like all reigns of terror, Lopez's eventually came to an end. Arrested, tried, and convicted, he now faces a future behind bars, a future where the horrors he inflicted will haunt him every single day. Earlier this year, a judge added 30 more years to his sentence, ensuring that Santiago Meza López, the stew maker, will spend the rest of his days locked away, far from the vats of acid that once defined his existence. But for the families of those who vanished, justice remains elusive. Their loved ones were not just killed, they were erased. The remains of over 300 souls dissolved into nothingness, their stories never fully told, their final moments a mystery. In a world where life is cheap and power is absolute, the story of Santiago Meza López serves as a grim reminder of the depths of human cruelty. And yet it is also a reminder of the resilience of those who continue to seek justice, no matter how impossible it may seem. If this story left you with more questions than answers, then you're not alone. The world of the cartels is one where the lines between right and wrong blur, where justice is hard to come by, but it's also a world that needs to be understood, to be exposed. If you want to dive deeper into the dark underbelly of the world we live in, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. We have more stories that will leave you questioning the very nature of humanity. And trust me, you won't want to miss what's coming next. This is Universal Canvas, where the truth is stranger than fiction.